Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ivana Rosello, and this is my partner. No puedo, my partner. Mi
Diablo,
partner.
ahora lo hicimos una vez y ahora estamos aquí otra vez estancados.
Mi partner. Bien,
¿Qué pedo?
así mismo sonó. Ok, vuelvo.
My partner.
Mi partner.
My partner, Mary.
Eso me sonó bien mexicano. Un mexicano tratando de hablar en inglés literal. Oh my God. Queen.
¿Quién?
De Sofía Vergara.
Ella es mexicana, pero yo
No, ella no es mexicana.
Ella no es mexicana.
Ella es colombiana. Ella sale en Modern Family.
Sí.
Ok.
Ella es legendaria.
Ok, volvemos. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ivana Rosello, and this is my partner, Mario, and today we will be discussing the subject of alienation. Now, what's the definition of an alienation? The alienation is known as an act of being isolated from a group where you have the rights to be involved in. Many examples of this could be seen in society, in family, and social relationships. Knowing what alienation is brings a better understanding of human behavior by rejecting humans based on prejudice. Now, let's discuss a bit about To See the Invisible Man. There, we selected 4 quotations where we can see alienation being involved in this short story. The first one is, a doctor was not required to minister to an invisible man. To society at large, I was simply not there. Doctors could not diagnose the disease in a non-existent individual. And I will be selecting the third one that says, people could see me, but they would not see me. To See the Invisible Man, it's based on the life of an invisible man, which name is unknown, that suffered from alienation by being separated from society, which dehumanized him. And in the quotations that we just discussed, we can see that his human rights to be medically helped by society, which is a basic right that has a human being, he was not being able to be treated by his appendicitis because it had ruptured in that given moment. And he was completely ignored, not because he could not be seen, but because he had the mark of an invisible man. He was isolated from society intentionally because of his crime, and he could not be involved in society or in a community where other invisible men were aparted from the society. This man was literally seen but was ignored. And this is not correct. It literally has the best example of alienation because he had the right to be involved in society and he was ignored. And he spent a year in complete loneliness and was in desperation to end his invisibility.
We also decided to choose to analyze the poem Architect's Watercolor. So in Architect's Watercolor, it's an interesting poem due to the fact that it has elements of abstract ideologies based on science and to demonstrate alienation. In the first stanza, we can see clearly how the author points out a world that is moving and growing, and how the protagonist is caught in a moment. The moment is explained as a type of solidarity, where there are 2 people speaking while the protagonist is not even seen and is instead a part of the group and staring out the window. The author uses science to explain the feeling of solidarity of the protagonist by comparing the protagonist to a benzene ring. The benzene ring is a chemical reaction where the carbon atoms are connected with a hydrogen molecule, and with the chemical reaction they create a benzene molecule in the middle of the ring. That in the ring, the benzene molecule is secluded from the other molecules and is considered hydrocarbon. The author also paints the protagonist as the wind in the street or a leaf blowing in the wind alone. After the protagonist comes back to reality, he walks down the street alone, feeling excluded from the main world and feels apart as he walks down the street. He explains that the footprints he leaves behind also insinuating that the footprints he leaves behind slowly disappear with the wind as the next snowfall comes. 4 examples could be: an architect draws a watercolor depicting 2 people about to enter a room, while someone on the stairway gazes through the windows. And that is because they're explaining how the protagonist is by himself while 2 other men are talking. And it could be because he feels like he is excluded out of that group, out of the society, out of his job, and he is just by himself, wandering and looking into the society. Another example could be at a park river skyscrapers beyond, he does not want to be locked like a carbon atom in a benzene ring, but needs to rotate and lift off. And like I had mentioned, the benzene ring is only allowed to create the benzene in the middle, but it cannot go up, it cannot go down. It is stuck literally in the middle without movement. Other examples are veer along wharves and shoreline in the acoustics of the space. He catches a needle, bounce off a black granite floor, wanders. And the last one would be into the evening and in this space, each minute is an encounter. He steps out and makes footprints on a sidewalk dusted with snow. Contemporary examples of alienation in our society are everywhere, and some cannot even notice, and some aren't even noticed. Alienation is among the society, the family, friend groups, relationships, and even among ourselves. A good example of alienation is about the law to be able to amend the Roe v. Wade law that will eliminate the abortion in the United States. This is a good example of alienation because the government is trying to alienate the women from society by taking away the right that they have over their own bodies, while men still have the free liberty to do as they please with their bodies without any repercussions, while women are being controlled to give birth even if they never wanted the baby in the first place due to rape or unwanted pregnancies. Another example is the way immigration is being controlled to only let the ones that have the money to be able to pay and take tutoring in classes to pass the citizenship test. That leaves out those who are genuinely trying to receive help economically by other countries. Not only is the government favoring only those that have the economic resources to pay for the test, and they're also just alienating the ones that cannot. There is also a social alienation from immigrants as well, because they are seen as lowlifes that are just reaping what the other national identity worked so hard to create without taking into the account the different things immigrants have done for their country without all their privileges.
This concludes our presentation, and thank you so much for watching.
Good afternoon.